the insurance business is pretty broad, right? Um, you guys are in the space, in the P&C space, so it's a pretty broad space. Um, and I really like the life space, simply because I wanted to make a difference. So all my life, I've been a person that has wanted to impact someone else, invite other people into an opportunity where I could help them change their life as well. But I want our products and services to mean something. I was in the advertising space before, and we were making roofing contractors' phone ring when you had tornadoes or thunderstorms, or dentists' phone lines ring, or veterinarians' offices ring when their dog had an emergency. I mean, that was our clientele: plastic surgeons, dentists, heating and air conditioning companies, roofing contractors, and it was business to business. I loved that business. I loved the engagement with client. I love sales. Always had this feeling that I wanted to make an impact on people and invite other people into the opportunity. I was never really motivated just to do something on my own by myself. And so when I saw the life business, and I went out and rode around with Fred, the very first day I rode with Fred, we went and met with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Williamson. It was in Valonia, Indiana, and he covered 4 counties in one day, and he told me he was doing cleanup leads. I'm like, what is that? He said, well, I've invested in all this marketing, these leads, and after a while, I keep getting drips of leads from these different counties, and about every 6 weeks, I pull them all together, and the whole week, I just work all the old leads that have come in over the past 6-7 weeks that I didn't get on the first cycle. And he said, I clean them up. It's a cleanup week. And so we were literally driving through these county roads. I was starting to get like car sick. We were riding around in his old Malibu. He had a Corvette in his driveway, but we drove a Malibu to the client's house. And I think it had like one shock, and it was like floating. Remember those old Malibus, 2 doors?
Yeah.
The doors dropped because they were so heavy after a while. That's the kind of car. It had a vinyl top on it. That's the kind of car we were in. And our first house was about 10:30 in the morning, and we walked in, and this gentleman by the name of Mr. Williamson was there. He was in a double-wide mobile home, Valonia, Indiana. Beautiful, beautiful deck, flower pots on the outside. Had the name, of him and his wife, on those old houses when people would put their name on the front door of the home of, and the husband and wife's name was there. And we went in, and of course, she wasn't there. And when Fred said, why did you fill this out? He said, well, we lost my wife 2 years ago. And my son said, Dad, you should probably get some insurance because we're still paying for Mom's funeral. 2 years. And
Wow.
he said, if something happens to you before we get that done, we don't know how we're going to be able to pay for 2 of these. Can you get some insurance? Well, he had an obituary from the local paper there in that small town in Indiana laying on the table in the kitchen, and it was laminated. Plastic laminate. It was just sitting there. Fred never saw it. He never referenced it, but I was sitting close enough to it. I could see it. And it had the date of her death announcement and all that, and the funeral. And we got done. Fred was very matter of fact. Fred actually enrolled her right there and got her tentatively approved over the phone with a telephone application with an underwriter, and said, you're approved for American Amicable Life, a company out of Waco, Texas. And you should get your policy in the next 10 to 14 days. When you get it, make sure you call me. Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you. And he's very matter of fact, getting ready to shake his hand. When he did, Mr. Williamson grabbed his hand and kind of pulled him in like this. And you could tell Mr. Williamson used to be a bigger man, but now in his mid-late 70s, he was a little more frail. But he pulled Fred in like this, and he put his arm around and gave him like a bro hug. And when he did, his face came over Fred's shoulder, and I was right behind Fred. So Mr. Williamson's face was about this far from me, giving Fred a hug that he wasn't expecting to get. And when Mr. Williamson's face got up here, guys, I could see tears in Mr. Williamson's eyes. And he said, thank you, Mr. Fred. This really mattered to me and my boys. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this for my family. And he had tears in his eyes. He pulled away.
Wow.
And Fred said, no problem. Thank you very much. And Fred was out the door. And I was like, I got hit right there in that moment. Like, this mattered to that guy. And I walked out and I'm like, here I've been selling $50,000, $100,000 ad packages to businesses, and now here I am 3 months, 4 months later, and we had a company doing $60 million in revenue. Here I am 3 months later, and I'm sitting at this guy's kitchen table in a little double-wide mobile home, and he gets tears in his eyes about a $15,000 burial plan and says, thank you, this really made a difference to me. And I was like, I could do that. I could do that. That matters. Now, if I could put together a system, help other people do it, how many families could we help? How many people could I help get in the insurance business? And that's all it took. That's all it took for me. I'm kind of an entrepreneur who takes actions first and figures out the rest later. So I just started. I went and got my license. 3 months later, I was writing my first applications. I bought 50 old leads. They were 2 years old. There was only P.O. boxes on them. When I got down to McCreary County, Kentucky, where these old leads were, and I laid them out on the little hotel bed that I rented, I got for 2 days because I was only down there for 2 days. And when I opened them up, not one of the leads had any addresses on them. They were all P.O. box leads that this company had held back and didn't sell to other people because they had filtered out P.O. box leads. That's what I bought because I'm new and I didn't know any different. And there was only phone numbers on half of them, Craig. So then I was down there 2.5 hours away from home and had to figure that out. So I was like, what have I got myself into? And I went to the local post office, and those little local post office people helped me figure out where those people lived. And I spent 2 days there that week, 2 days the following week. I ended up helping like 6 or 7 families and wrote like $5,200 in premium. My wife said, well, what do you think? I said, well, we're not going to make it writing $2,000 a week, but I've only technically been in the market 4 days, and I had 2-year-old leads with no addresses. I think if we had fresh leads, a system, and regular effort, we could. This is definitely a 6-figure opportunity within the first 90 days. You could be tracking the 6 figures within the first 90 days on a scalable system. So that was enough for me. I jumped in and hit the ground running, and from there, it's been like that.